Good day to you. My name is Maria Kądzielska and this is Poland Daily Culture, the best cultural show in English in Poland. At least we hope so. With us on Skype is Eric Cohn from Acton Institute. Eric, again, thank you very much for calling.
Thank you so much for having me.
And you are telling about to us this story about the movie which you were a producer, so the Hong Konger. It is the story of Jimmy Lai, a Chinese businessman who made all of his career in Hong Kong and right now is facing a trial. Tell us how you were shooting it, because we know that Jimmy is currently in prison, so it was probably difficult to access him. And we see at this part of interviews with him, but also with other people, talking about the current situation, and just for all the people around the world to understand what was the situation, was the clash. Why are they fighting for freedom in Hong Kong?
Yeah, I've joked for a while that there could probably be a documentary film about the making of this documentary film. We decided to make one about a subject who we couldn't access or talk to, in Jimmy Lai, because he was in a prison cell in Hong Kong, about a city that we couldn't visit for many different reasons, and in the middle of a global pandemic. It was in 2021 when we really started making this film. So there were a lot of challenges there, but we thought it was incredibly important to tell this story. Jimmy is a longtime friend of the Acton Institute, of our co-founders, Chris Maurin and Father Robert Sirico, who you'll also see in the film. We thought it was incredibly important to be able to get this story out. And since we interviewed Jimmy so many times in previous years, he was in another documentary that we made about 15 years ago called The Call of the Entrepreneur. We thought we were very well positioned to tell his story in the Hong Konger, which people can access and watch for free on demand at freejimmylai.com.
And you're talking and you're telling them the story of Jimmy Lai, but from the very beginning, not only about his current works and his current actions fighting for freedom during the protest and after closing of his newspaper, but you were also sharing with us the story of how he started being an entrepreneur, building something, and from the scratch, because he is a Chinese from the mainland China who immigrated to Hong Kong, and as a land of freedom where he could grow up, but it also this huge difference between the very extremely poor China and this growing and flourishing Hong Kong, after all, so close to each other and with a similar cultural background, but so different.
Jimmy is a remarkable story of success, and he's a personification of just what Hong Kong offered people with robust free markets, human freedom, protection of the rule of law. You could be someone like Jimmy, who came from China when he was 12 years old with absolutely nothing. And it was his entrepreneurial spirit, his industriousness, his willingness to work his way up, coming up with a good idea for a clothing company in Giordano, seeing a need for news coverage that was in favor of democracy and human rights, which is why he created Next Media and then Next Magazine and Apple Daily. It is a remarkable story of what Hong Kong offered and what is slowly being robbed from those people and really from the world by the Chinese Communist Party and their crackdown on freedom, on human rights, and on dissent now within the city of Hong Kong.
Because Hong Kong, after all, is one of those Xiaolong, so one of those four Chinese, Asian dragons of examples of this incredible economical but also social success. And the fact is, right now it's declining, unfortunately, because most of the businesses go out or were just shut down, like Apple Daily.
Well, somebody says in the film, you don't really have centers of international finance that disrespect the rule of law the way that Hong Kong, under Chinese Communist Party control, currently does. So it's going to take a big hit. It has been taking a big hit. I think people recognize Hong Kong today is not what it was in the 2000s, and certainly not what it was in the 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. It's a tragedy. Millions of people who have lived and breathed freedom are having it taken away from them. And it's people like Jimmy Lai who are willing to stand up and say to China that this is wrong, and that the people of Hong Kong deserve to be free. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to tell his story in The Hong Konger.
So it is a story of one person, but also the story of this city and the story of this whole society of the Hong Kongers. So people who you also show them in the movie are usually like changing their voice, changing their appearance. It is because of the fear of the persecution, yes.
The risk is real. The national security law is being used to crack down not just on very recognizable people like Jimmy Lai, but anybody who voices dissent, anybody who objects to what is going on in Hong Kong. This is such an abomination to the concept of the rule of law. It applies extranationally. You know, every day sitting here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, talking about what is happening to Jimmy and the people of Hong Kong, I'm in daily violation of the national security law. That'll just give you an idea of just how aggressive and wide-reaching and broad and violative of the concept of the rule of law this national security law truly is.
So basically you have no chance of going back to Hong Kong at the current.
Sadly, no, nor to any other countries that would extradite someone to China, but they all weren't very high on my travel list to start with. So, but it's a tragedy to lose a city of Hong Kong like this. It absolutely is.
Well, congratulations for all of the courage, and of course, the viewers of Poland Daily. We invite you to go and see the movie and enjoy it and make your own opinion what you think is going on right now in Hong Kong. And of course, if you're interested in it, then share it, because as we are trying to reach a very, very big audience, and this is of course important. And you are part of this audience, so thank you very much for watching our show.